We understand that a lot of people are confused about what bank debt is, what sovereign debt is. There's been a lot of scare tactics over the last week or two saying, look, the ATMs won't work if we take this course of action or that course of action. So what we were trying to do in the first part of the show is to tease all those sort of situations out. There's no silver bullet solutions for Ireland at the moment. But one thing that I would advocate, and I think the two boys would advocate as well, is that we have to tackle the bank debt, and we have to tackle it soon. The more we delay this bank debt resolution scheme, we are going to be in even more trouble. So there's huge consequences of not tackling things. And I've seen that in 2007, 2008. I would feel that actually this is very similar to the early part of 2008, where the politicians are actually saying that, look, everything will be fine if we just stay the course, where there's millions of outside experts saying, no, we really need to tackle this, we need to tackle it fast. That is the bank debt. So we really want to tease that out, and we're hoping you will all get involved with questions. That is the first part of the show. The second part is we want to actually forget about that, because again, what our politicians have done for the last couple of years is we've been talking about the banks and the sovereign debt so much, we've forgotten about the real economy. So what are we going to do to solve the problems of the real economy? How are we going to create jobs? What are we going to do about NAMA? What are we going to do about the Croke Park Agreement? So that's what we're trying to achieve in the second half. And then at the very end, what I'm going to try and do is just give you a few words about why I think you should elect me, and maybe question and answers just about the election and where I would stand on certain issues. So that's simply what we're going to do. And what I would like to do at the start is just to get Constantine to maybe just explain what the situation is at the moment. And the reason for that is there's a lot of misinformation, so we want to know what debts the banks have, what is the situation, what has the ECB given us, why are they scared, why are they actually saying that a debt resolution scheme can come in 2013, but it can't come now? What is the reasons for this? So hopefully Constantine, in simple English, is going to try to explain, just the numbers simply about the money that is coming into the Irish banks, why the confidence is so low at the Irish banks. You know, we've heard for 2 years that if we take this step, that step, that the money will not flow out of the Irish economy. As we all know well, the banks have been hemorrhaging money for 2 years. They will continue to hemorrhage money if we don't solve this problem. What I wanted to really just tackle is a few issues that maybe I differ from Fine Gael on, and just a few of the general issues on the Irish economy that I think we need solutions for too. I mean, obviously, you know, the bank and the sovereign debt crisis is the #1 issue. We have to solve that in the next 18 months. But there is plenty of other issues about getting the economy going and getting jobs and getting this economy moving. So how do we do that? Obviously, it's very easy to make vacuous statements like, let's help small business. You know, every single party, it's just like, you know, sort of, you know, I like fresh air sort of thing. So we need concrete solutions. What do we do? The whole structure of our economy is in trouble. And the reason being is there's a sheltered domestic sector that is creaming off serious amounts of supernormal profits. They're making too much money, basically. And they're protected by our semi-states or our government. So the government sector, for an example, I've talked about the Croke Park Agreement many times, and I know it brings the wrath of many public servants to my door. But the thing about the Croke Park Agreement is, I believe it shows the absolutely delusion of Irish people. What happens is, the public sector agree to put in efficiencies that they will not put in, and we agree to pay them with money we don't have. That's exactly what we're doing. So, of course, people get very agitated when we say about cutting public sector salaries and things like that. We are not. Don't be fearful. We are not talking about people at the grassroots level. We are not talking about people who are low paid. We are not talking about people on the front line. But there is a layer of bureaucracy right across this system that needs to be cut. It's a cancer in our whole society, and we need to get rid of it. We cannot have that there and still expect the economy to recover. So what we need to do is, for an example, in the Croke Park Agreement, it says voluntary redundancies. I don't think that's harsh enough. I think we need mandatory redundancies. And so what happens at the top levels, the people who are capable of getting a job in the private sector are exactly the people who are going to leave, but they're exactly the people we want to stay. So what happens is they take their nice pension, they go off into the private sector and get a very good job because they're very skilled. What happens is the Irish economy is left with people who are less skilled in very big pensionable jobs. So I believe we need a mandatory system there. What I would say to Fine Gael is that obviously, because they're being nice to everyone and they want so many votes, they can't say things like that. What I would suggest that to them is, yes, if I get into government, I will give you 6 to 9 months to enact the Croke Park Agreement and enact it in the way it says. And if you don't get the efficiencies, we want mandatory redundancies, and we want them from the top. I mean, again, this thing about, so for an example, cutting nurses' pay, student nurses' pay, how ridiculous is that? We don't save much money, and it sends out totally the wrong signal to the whole of the Irish economy. Of course, we shouldn't be cutting things at the bottom. We start at the top, and we work all the way down. So I just wanted to touch on another thing that... there's a second point just to go along with that, and I know Shane Ross is very strong on this point as well. We have a committee system that runs in Ireland, but it is not efficient. People are asked to come and answer questions, but they don't have to turn up if they don't want to. So one of my simple ideas is we televise all committees, and they are compelled by law to come and answer questions. Now, I think it would be hilarious if you could imagine those 600 public servants who were exempt from the pay cuts. I'd love to get the leader of them on TV in front of a committee that I was chairing, asking him questions. I think he'd suddenly change his mind. So that's what we need to do. It's a very simple suggestion, but when we need transparency and accountability across the whole country, that's what gets confidence. If people in Ireland, we know that we've got some hard stuff to go through in the next couple of years, but if people see that things are changing, that breeds confidence, that breeds spending, and that gets the economy going. So it's simple things like that. What I was going to suggest about the small businesses, we have to look at the penal lease laws. We have to talk about, I know David's talked about it in a few of his articles, about the bankruptcy laws. They are very, very penal in this country. We have to loosen them. And the biggest elephant in the room, again, is the personal debt. Whatever you think about letting people off for debt forgiveness, there is a tsunami of personal debt coming down here, and we have to find resolutions for it. There is no point in listening to bank statements saying we're going to be okay, we think it's going to be 4 or 5%. We all know from our personal experience, we've all got friends in negative equity, losing their jobs, and we have to find resolutions for those people. So I know in normal capitalism it'd be very unpalatable to help those people because of moral hazard, but the situation is so big and so vast that our economy will not be able to recover. So we really need resolutions in that space as well.